Hello everybody, welcome to another Arkham Horror the Card Game new investigator guide talking about the investigator starter decks. Today we're going to be talking about Winifred, HABBAMOCK, the Aviator. With this deck as we go, we are not going to be advising you how to build with the upgrades that are inside of the pack itself. There's already a ton of great content about that kind of thing. Instead, we're going to be going through cycle by cycle, recommending cards that could be good for various builds, and we're actually not even going to tell you how to build your deck. We're just going to talk about why these cards would work with Winifred HABBAMOCK. In addition, some of these changes come with 2 core sets in mind in some of these recommendations. So if you don't have 2 core sets, we recommend picking up another one or proxying the cards you don't have. Lastly, there might be some cards on this that are on the something called the taboo list. If you're just starting out, we recommend ignoring the taboo list for now and just playing with the cards as they were originally printed. It's a lot more fun when you can feel really, really, really powerful. Then, once you get a few wins on your belt, start worrying about playing with the updated list. Anything else I missed that is important for the spiel here, or is just like, should we just dive right into Winifred? I think I got everything.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
We're going to talk about Travis made a few changes to the deck listed here. Travis recommends, and Bryn and I agree, that you should play with the deck as it comes out of the box with the list in there, just to get a feel for the deck, and then here are some upgrades that we can go. Bryn, you are the resident rogue of this group. Why don't you talk about Wini and her abilities, her cards, and her personal strength and weakness?
I do want to have one more thing, or
Sure.
point out one thing. This list is like just added cards from 2 core sets into the deck, because it would be kind of pointless to show you guys the deck list that came in the box.
Yes, yeah.
Because you already have it, which is the main reason why this deck list is here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go ahead, Bryn.
All right. So we've got the classical stat line of why do we need brain, and then good numbers in our other stats.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Particularly 5 foot, so we can run away from things really well. Do other foot tests real well. Downside to it is that our defense is despite having an incredible foot score, our defense is not very good. Because most of the game's cards will ask you to test your brain score. And so having that 1 means that we're pretty much all about the offense. Like a lot of great characters.
Yeah.
Winifred has a reaction effect that you can trigger. I think is it once per phase or once per test?
Once per test.
That's insane. So you get to draw a card whenever you commit 2 cards with different names to a test. So, maybe we're just throwing our cards at the wall and seeing what sticks, because your hand's always going to be full. So it's not such a big deal. Her weakness here, arrogance. I don't think it's a big problem. Like,
No, it's pretty minor having played with it.
Very,
like, you must commit it to each eligible skill test you perform.
which is
if the
all
test
of them.
succeeds, you return it to your hand. So, like, you can pick a brain test and just fail it.
Yeah.
To get rid of it if you really want to.
No, you just faceplant a book test, usually.
Yeah, into location,
Yeah, like-
investigate. Yeah.
You can, it's pretty easy to solve, and even if you don't have a window to solve it, you can just commit more symbols to your tests.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah, of note, it is a weakness card, so it will not trigger her ability.
Yes, that is worth pointing out. Otherwise, it would be actually trivial.
Yeah, in that case, like, don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Travis said, just face planting it into like a book test is great, because you either get rid of it or potentially just get a clue off a location. Sounds like a good use of your time, or it's pretty minor. What about her personal strength? Anything you can do, better?
Well, that's pretty much what it is. You just get to pick anything that anybody else can do on the team.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah, you can test with 7 brain.
Yeah.
11 feet. She's in her plane. She's going so quick.
So fast.
Yeah, I would actually recommend holding on to this either for like a big all-in play or just to escape a brain test, that's particularly bad for you.
Yeah, you don't want to just use it to punch a dude or get 11 feet. 11 feet won't
You don't
really do
really
much.
need that unless
want
they're
to use
trying to
it.
draw 5 cards.
Yeah, it depends. Green does have a sub-theme of succeeding by X or more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've got something that cares about you succeeding by 4 or maybe 6 or more,
yeah,
maybe you can throw that at a test you're good at.
Mm-hmm. We're going to kind of just touch on the cards in the deck, anything that jumps out that we want to talk about that's relevant for Winnie, and then we're going to jump into set by set, cycle by cycle, talking about what we recommend for various builds.
One thing you'll notice about this deck is it actually does not have guts.
Yes. Yep.
Something that you need to think about when you're playing a character who has 1 brain is how much you are going to, how many resources are you willing to commit to beating brain tests. I think with 1 brain, my personal take on it is you're just gonna, I prefer to just muscle through, you know, try and save anything you can do, or maybe like an unexpected courage, another card for a particularly nasty one. But for the most part, you're just gonna accept your lumps and try to leverage your other stats to get ahead of the game in other ways.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You can definitely commit more cards to it, which we'll see that there are, I think I put in some recommendations to help deal with that. Things like the Tennessee Sour Mash, for example, that can help mitigate failing brain tests or like actually try to pass them. But that is kind of a personal decision.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm with that. You just, it's a lot better to amplify your strengths than it is to like shore up your weaknesses. Your decks will generally be better. So yeah, lockpicks is pretty standard. It's a good way to get clues. You'll be investigating with 8, so pretty great.
Lockpicks and the Mauser are like her bread and butter. They let her do the things.
Yeah, Mauser. It's a pretty. The upgraded one is also really sweet. Lucky cigarette case. You're going to be succeeding by 2 or more a lot, which gives you more cards to commit to more tests, which lets you draw more cards, which lets you succeed by 2 or more again and again and again.
Yeah, the Lucky Cigarette case is particularly important in this deck because with it you can commit 2 things to a test, and then if you succeed by enough between the Lucky Cigarette case and Winnie's inherent ability, you get to draw 2 cards and you're neutral on card advantage.
Mm-hmm. We got Lonnie Ritter, who makes her fist 4, but also basically it's her way of not. Like, it's not so much in this deck because Travis doesn't really have the items that take damage, but when you open it out of the box with the leather coat or whatever the jacket is, it allows you to just not die, right? Like, it's a good way to have her be your brain soak. But in addition, just the 3 extra brain is going to be a lot to ensure that you're going to be okay as you play this.
Yeah. Yeah, she can, you can also spend the resource to choose an item asset controlled by an investigator at your location that doesn't have any damage on it to heal 1 horror from Lonnie if you really need to.
Or from your teammates.
Yep, you can heal them, and they'll be grateful for that. They'll be like, "Hey, thanks for fixing my my jacket. I really appreciate it."
And then you'll be like, "I own you now."
Yeah. Streetwise, spending resources to make your stats better. Relevant ones for Winifred as well, for what she's gonna, if she's want to run away or get clues, which she's probably gonna end up doing. Cheap shot allows you to attack but also evade an enemy, so you're gonna be attacking with 8 without any other additional modifiers or anything like that, and you succeed by 2 or more, you also evade them, which is nice.
Daring Maneuver is pretty cool for the succeed by X or more build, where it's just insurance in your hand where if you succeed but not by quite enough, you did succeed by enough, though.
Then we got Pilfer, which lets you investigate at 5 and gives you more clues. It is pretty pricey, but...
you also discover, 2 additional clues on that?
Yeah, you get 3, so it's like...
So that's it's a lot of clues.
Yeah. Slip Away helps you evade things that might have a big thing with 8. Daredevil, which, sorry, I don't know Daredevil that well. Someone you talk about. You're a maniac, Winnie.
Daredevil is so there's 2 ways to play Daredevil. Either you could, my preferred way to play it is you use it to set up getting all in every time you do a skill test, in my limited experience. But the other way you can do it is pretty much how this deck does it, and you just like eat it into a test, and it just counts as like a card for her ability.
Yeah,
which is fine.
You also get to flip until you find something that could be committed. So, like committing Daredevil, you just get to draw the card and get +2 at least.
And
it's pretty solid.
It also just by itself just triggers her ability and draws you a card too, right? So assuming you don't get the other Daredevil.
Well, if you get the other Daredevil, you get to go until you find another card.
Oh baby, let's keep going.
So,
Nimble. It's a pretty some nice tech there to be able to evade an enemy and then like walk away from it and be like, I am good. Thank you for being you. You can just stay there. We got Opportunist, which is if you succeed by 3 or more, return it to your hand. So you're going to be succeeding by hopefully you're 2 or more is like what you're aiming for. There are some things that care about more, and Opportunist is one of them. But there is an upgraded Opportunist, which just becomes even better for especially Wini. Like that's going to be dirty when she can do that. Travis, why don't you talk about the changes you made from the base deck into your recommendations here? These are the cards you did add, and what cards did you take out?
I don't remember what cards I took out besides Leather Jacket, so they can't have been that good. But
and
Elusive is like... Sorry?
And Switchblade. Level 0. And Sneak By, it looks like.
Level 0 is... it's shit.
Yeah, it's not great. And you also took out Leather Jacket and Sneak By.
Yeah, so Sneak By, Elusive, Sneak By, these slots are pretty flexible. Aside from the Switchblade, I think that all of the other 2 cards I didn't include, you could choose to include instead of some other things. But Slip By is I find it's a little bit situational. Just it is a nice economy, especially if you're gonna play Leo. But you have to have something to evade, and it's just. You're not always going to when you want to play it. But that was my reasoning there. And then the jacket, I just felt I don't know, I just looked at it and I was like, get out.
Yeah, just...
You could easily swap either of those in for the Streetwises if you want, or for I don't know, the Pilfers if you're more combat oriented, or the Slipaways or something, because Slipaway is kind of just bad elusive, but sort of. Anyway, Leo Luca gives you extra actions every turn. 33% extra turn is good, even if it costs you 6 money. Elusive is also good. It provides many actions, actually.
Yes.
More than one.
Yeah.
I don't want to hype it up too much, but try playing with it, and you'll be impressed. And then Unexpected Courage is here instead of Guts, because passing other skill tests is what you're going to be spending most of your time doing, and failing Brain 1s is also what you're going to be doing. But Unexpected Courage can make you sometimes not fail a brain test, though.
Yeah, Unexpected Courage goes perfectly with that idea of, as opposed to putting Guts in, put in this one, which can help your other stats be better, right? This is why we just focus on that one and be like, that one is fine, I don't need to worry about it, but Unexpected Courage might potentially help you. As opposed to if you have a Guts, that's only for your brain.
In order to trigger her effect, you need to be able to commit 2 cards to the same test. So cards with wild symbols increase the value.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Let's start talking about the cycles. Starting with the core set. So here's some other level 0 cards. Bryn, why don't you talk about these guys?
Oh man. Okay, so with pickpocketing, you try to evade something. Commit 2 cards to it. You've got your lucky cigarette case. You draw a card. You succeed by 2. You draw a card. Pickpocketing says, "Let's go through this guy's pockets for some loose cards, because that's what we need to play our game." You could draw 3 cards off a single test that you probably wanted to do anyway.
That's pretty nice.
That's
again,
pretty
the
alright.
card draw is very important because it lets you break even on spending 2 cards on a test with her ability.
Yeah, even not in the magical Christmas land with Lucky Cigarette Case, this card's still pretty solid. It just lets you evade and throw cards at the evade test for free.
Yeah.
Backstab is a solid way to make your 5-foot score do something offensive for you, because otherwise it kind of doesn't do that. You can use it to run away and sometimes to protect yourself from the Mythos deck, but that's about it. Plus, extra 2 damage is like it's a lot of damage. We talk about a lot. Enemies are made more difficult by having odd numbers of health because weapons deal even numbers of damage, except for the really big ones. So, like, enemies will have 3 health to make you spend 2 actions on solving them instead of 1. But with backstab, you just get to kill them for 1.
Yep.
Sneak attack is just 2 damage unconditionally. Like, you don't, well, not unconditionally, but like testless. And all you have to do to make it happen is have the enemy be exhausted. Like, maybe you've evaded them with your 5 foot.
Maybe.
Yeah, and flashlight lets you investigate 3 times as though your score were 5, basically. So it's just a solid way to get clues.
Yeah, definitely. Manual dexterity, if you want to make your actual manual dexterity, perception, and overpower all here. If you want to bump up those other stats to go big in on something, especially when we get to some later kind of upgrades that are going to happen. They also draw cards, which, as Travis says, help you come a bit more even when you activate her ability and all that. Sure Gamble's also great because it allows you to literally cheat. You see a negative and you say, how about I just draw a little line through this, and it's actually a +2 instead. And then you succeed by 2 or more, and then it just causes this cascade of all these good things to happen. Travis, why don't you take these ones? These are pretty.
Okay. Lone Wolf gets you extra money every turn as long as you're off handling your own issues, which shouldn't be too difficult. But with your being able to get clues and fight reasonably well. Double or Nothing is very good in like not quite niche scenarios, but like specific scenarios. You don't just like throw it into any test, but when it's good, it can be game breaking.
When it's good, it's real good.
Yeah, like I actually wouldn't be surprised to see it get like a harsher treatment on the.
Yeah, like if you commit your Double or Nothing to an evade with a nibble, how far could you move? You could like go around the entire map and then come back to where you started.
Yeah. Or you throw into something with your quick thinking or a bunch of other things stacked on top of it. Like the issues with all the skills, like you throw in with an all-in and a quick thinking, all of a sudden you've got 2 extra moves or 2 free actions, you've drawn 10 cards.
Yeah.
Off of the cost of 1. That's kind of ridiculous. Even at 2 experience. But anyway, you should try it out for yourself. It's a good time. It seems like a gambler's card, but it's not. It's just good.
Yeah, because you're choosing when to play it, so it's not really a gamble.
Yeah.
It is a gamble with Daredevil, though.
It is true.
Yeah, but that's just good fun. Quick thinking, extra actions are good, and you should probably be planning to succeed your tests by 2 or more when you're playing green anyway, so nice. Upgrade Streetwise is the Streetwise, but you just get it.
Yeah, you don't need to draw it.
You don't have to draw it or spend the action to play it. Yeah, you just have it. It's good. Good.
Oh, Brent,
Switchblade level 2.
Yeah, Brent, I'll let you take these ones because this is like there's a lot of Bryn here.
So Switchblade level 2, the difference between this and the level 1, which is like pretty bad, is that this one gives you the +2 that it needs to succeed the test. Like you get +2 to your fight action, and then if you succeed by 2 or more, you deal an extra damage. So you get that +2 that you would need to deal the extra damage just built into the card. And if you don't hit it, then you wouldn't have succeeded your fight action anyway. So like 1 damage is better than none. Opportunist level 2. This one is the same as the first one, but the difference is that the threshold to pick it up is 2 instead of 3, which is a lot better because most of the green succeed by X cards sit at 2. So you want to be trying to pass by 2, and the other one makes you commit a little bit harder to try and get it back.
And this is also especially good when it gets to your ability, because if you're successful, which you obviously aim to be, you get this card back. So you draw a card without having to discard one of the cards needed for the test to trigger your ability. And being able to do that multiple times a turn is pretty nice.
Golden pocket watch. Man. So how much would you pay to take an extra turn? Playing green, it's actually 0. You would pay 0 to take an extra turn, but that's beside the point. This card not only lets you take an extra turn, it lets everybody you're playing with take an extra turn, or skip something bad that the game was going to do. Like if you skip the game's turn, it's like you take an extra turn anyway, but the game didn't get to play. Whatever you do, don't skip the investigator phase.
Yeah.
Your friends will be very upset. You may not be invited back.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly like repeating investigator or like skipping mythos.
Yes, yeah.
That's most of what this card does. Ace in the hole is like, how much would you pay for an extra turn? Like, it's 0. You would pay 0. It's 0 cost, fast, get 3 more actions this turn. It's just another turn.
Yeah.
Doesn't even cost you any resources.
Lucky Dice. This is a way for you to control kind of your token draws for your tests, which gives you a bit more power over hitting those 2 or more that you're going to want to hit. If you're unlucky like Bryn, they will go away immediately, but otherwise there's a lot you can do. Paying the 2 resources is a cost, and this Wini deck isn't really like, at least the one here has like the big resource generation, but if you wanted to play Lucky Dice, you're going to want to look at having more things that produce good resources for you as well, which is not hard in green.
Green does have like very solid options for that though.
Then we got Relic Hunter and Charisma, which both just give you another strong slot. For example, the Lucky Dice, that's an accessory, and now you can have a Lucky Dice, and then also like the Gold Pocket Watch, which I believe is also an accessory. And then Charisma allows you to easily not have to choose between Leo DeLuca or Lonnie Ritter in play, and you can just have both of them.
Yeah. There are a lot of very powerful green allies. And you often don't want to have to pick between them.
Yeah, and we're going to see a bunch of strong green allies coming up through all this.
Yeah, not just Leo.
Yeah,
there are other ones too.
Path of Carcosa. Travis, why don't you take these ones?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to watch this?
I don't want to talk about watch this. No.
All right, I'll talk about watch this, then you'll talk about the other 3. Is that fair?
Okay, that's the deal.
So watch this is one of those ways that you can get more resources. And it's a skill that you can commit to trigger her ability, so you can potentially draw a card and gain twice as many resources as you commit. There are times when watch this does go south. So it's not like, I mean, honestly, in Winnie, it's probably the closest thing to like a guarantee to hit, because she's going to have her stats boosted up so much. So if you're looking to gain resources, this is not a bad way of doing it. And you get to bother everyone else at your table by saying, hey, watch this. And with Winnie, though, like it fits perfect for her character, too. Like, look at her freaking flavor text. I can top that.
Yeah. Anyway. We got the 41 Derringer next. It's just another weapon option for you. Does extra damage.
Yep.
If you succeed by law, you get an extra action. It's good stuff.
Yeah. If you have this, and so like a lot of green cards get like really good when you combine them with other green cards, such as quick thinking. Like if you run this into a test with a quick thinking committed to it, and you succeed by 3 or more, you get to take 2 extra actions. Now it's like you get to take almost an entire extra turn just because.
Mm-hmm.
True. Upgraded sneak attack. Commits for 2 punch symbols and a book, which is pretty nice. But also, just the enemy doesn't have to be exhausted. You just have to not be engaged with it. Which is nice with, I believe, slip away benefits from that. And if it's just engaged to someone else, you can stab them.
Yep.
Then we got an upgraded lockpicks, which gives you 2 shots to not throw it away. 3 shots to not throw it away. Instead of just dumping it the first time you don't do good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually just lockpicks, but with more picks in the bag.
Yeah. It's like I should bring more than 1 lockpick. Pickpocketing at level 2 allows you to draw a card or gain a resource, and if you succeed by the magic number or 2 or more, you also can you do both. And Key of Ys is good, as Travis so aptly put. Bryn, let's talk about these guys.
So You Handle This One is one of my favorite defensive options in this game, where you draw a card and you're like, man, that would suck. And you just give it to one of your friends and you're like, you got this, right? And they're like, no. but it's too late. You played the card. It's their problem now. You get a resource.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, really handy for dodging those pesky brain tests that green characters tend not to be good at.
This is one of your
Man.
best defensive options. for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, it is like green doesn't do defense very well, but yeah, Hatchet Man is just like an offensive choice where you can evade. If you use it to evade, and then whatever you evaded takes an extra damage. The next time it would take damage during your turn. So worth noting, you can't evade something and then leave it for somebody else. It has to be during your turn.
Mm-hmm.
That's the damage happens. But if you shoot him with the Mauser, or like you hit him with a sneak attack, you get to do extra damage, and it bumps you to that like 3 damage point.
Mm-hmm.
That kills a lot of basic enemies. High Roller is just a way to help you beat tests. You spend 3 resources, you get +2 to any skill, and then if you succeed, not by 2 or more, just at all, you get the money back.
Mm-hmm. And it gives
It's
you
pretty
that.
solid.
It gives you that +2 for that 2 or more.
Yeah, exactly. You can only use it for 1 test a turn, but that's okay.
Oh my god, think about it. Watch this high roller succeed, get 12. No, sorry, 6. Wow.
Yeah, this card's also kind of neat with Double or Nothing, where like if you succeed, you gain 6 resources for the 3 you paid out.
Yeah, you can
I'm
make
like
money
pretty
off
sure
it.
that's how that works.
You can make money off it, it's true.
Yeah.
You don't just
Yeah,
pay 3
right.
to get +2 and then be like, all right, I've done it.
Yeah, Lola is one of these other powerful green allies where she costs 3 and she gives us +1 to 2 of our stats, like real stats, because we've got 3 book and 5 foot, so we get to be at 4 and 6. And then as a fast action, you can exhaust her and spend a number of resources equal to the shroud value of the location you're on to just take one of the clues. And she's a 2/2 soak. Card's pretty sick.
Skeleton Key is a strong way that you can benefit yourself and other players in the game by turning the Shroud of a location to 1. It cannot be further modified, either positively or negatively. It just always stays at 1. So it's a good way for you to get a location with with a high Shroud value or something you don't want to do a lot, and just easily pound through the clues to get there.
It's also really strong with Lola.
Yes, it's very strong with Lola.
Very strong.
Ornate Bow lets you attack with your foot instead of your fist, which, as you see, her foot is her highest skill, and it also deals 3 damage, which is that odd number hump that Bryn was talking about before. The only downside is you have to like spend time knocking an arrow, but with your ability to evade as well, it shouldn't be a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Plus, with Green's ability to take extra actions, that inefficiency is not such a big deal.
Yeah. And Travis, why don't you talk about All In?
This card's really good because you get to draw 5 cards when you use it. You just commit to something that you're gonna pass unless draw the auto fail. And if you do, like, whatever, it'll happen 16 times you use this card. It's just life.
Yeah.
But yeah, you commit it and then you draw 5 cards and then you use them to do other things good too. Really good at doubling that thing as well. Draw 10 cards. Pretty sick.
You've got the lucky dice, you never hit the auto fail.
Yeah, like this is actually, I think this is one of the best cards for Wini just in general.
Mm-hmm.
It commits for 2 wild symbols, go to any test. It provides, half of her thing, her ability, and then it just immediately refuels all the cards that you were using on previous tests.
It's also pretty sweet with anything you can do.
Yep. Oh yeah.
All right, Brent, let's talk about these guys.
Intel report lets you buy clues no matter how difficult or even far away they are, really. So for 2, you can get 1 clue at your location. For 4, you can get 2 clues at your location or 1 clue from a location 2 away from you. And for 6, you can get 2 clues at your location or a location 2 away from you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pretty strong.
The moon gives you more feet, and more feet is good. And the tarot slots, this is the only card that you want in Winnie's colors, because you don't want the Ace of Rods.
Ace of Rods is kind of not great.
Yeah.
Tennessee Sour Mash is one of, like, you handle this one as your strongest defensive option, but this one's pretty good too. Where it lets you test as though you're like with +2 for the base one and +3 for the upgraded one.
Yeah, I think this is the only card on the list that's like there to boost brain at all.
Yeah.
Like exclusively, rather.
And then like the level 0 one, you can discard it once it's empty to fight at +3. You don't do any extra damage or anything, but yeah, you get to run the test at 6.
Yeah.
And the upgraded one is the same thing, but you deal an extra damage on the attack when you discard it. And it's also fast.
Yes, yeah. I think this one is like, it's good because it represents as well also 2 damage with it as well at a 6 attack, just base, right? Like, that's pretty good for something that's also going to make you have 4 brain for 2 scary treachery cards.
Pretty good.
Bryn, these are just you again. These are
This type all of Fruit Loops set.
Man, so the Crystallizer of Dreams. We don't have it up here, but the bonded card is a 3/3/3 enemy that starts exhausted and does one of each for its damage type. So since it starts exhausted, it's not even hard to get away from. At like any point. But the Crystallizer, if you're playing an event-heavy green deck, you get to commit all of your events and play them. You don't have to consider, like, do I want to use the 2 book on this event, or do I want to discover the clue by paying 2 and not investigating? You get to do both. And that's, like, also, like, again, doubly good here because you can now use those cards to help you trigger your ability too.
Mm-hmm.
This card's just sweet.
Yeah.
Haste is just more actions.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
One thing to note is that the little arrow is activate action. So even if it's like activate evade or activate fight, it's still, you can do another activate arrow action after with the haste ruling. With how it works.
So you can shoot your Mauser and then assuming you succeed by enough, like untap it and then or ready it and then shoot it again. And then get a free lockpicks out of your haste.
Yeah. Or even like with your Ornate Bow, you can like shoot, load, shoot.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Delilah O'Rourke is like Lola, but for dealing damage, and she boosts up your fist and your foot instead. One thing that I actually, because this is the rule that we probably just don't put in the board state accurately, and it makes it so that it's one of those things that just slips with us. But enemies, when they attack you, they become exhausted and then they ready during the upkeep phase, which means you have a player window to attack an enemy that's exhausted with her ability. So you don't even need to evade an enemy to be able to get that 2 damage if it's during the enemy window.
Yeah, you might get smacked, but...
Yeah. But, like, it's one of those things that, like, if it happens, like, if you don't have the time, you can still trigger it even if you haven't actually, like, evaded the enemy. They exhaust themselves as well. And then upgraded Daredevil. What's the difference? Good God. I do not know Daredevil.
The upgraded Daredevil, the difference is that you discard all of the weaknesses that you find, I believe.
Ah, yes, I see. Yeah, the weaknesses are shuffled back. Okay, yeah. If you don't want
the other one shuffles the weaknesses back, and this one just discards them.
Yeah. Cool.
Or sorry, no, not discards them. It shuffles everything back.
Mm-hmm. And then Momentum, hanging out over here all by itself. This is a great way to just get a bunch of combos going as well. Like, make your next test easier to succeed by a bunch more and just keep it going.
It's like it could be like you have a second copy of anything. If you commit Momentum to your anything, you can do test.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's Winnie. she honestly seems like a really good time. I'm very excited to play Winifred when I can. I hope that this guide has helped you kind of see the various green cards that you can use in her style, and also just some general like where to focus your deck when you build, right? Like if you want to do the money, or if you want to really go in on that succeed by 2 or more and ensuring you're constantly replacing the cards you're committing for her ability, will make it so that your hand is just always going to be loaded and you're always going to have a ton of awesome stuff you can do, and just like hope you don't get the doomed random basic weakness, and then you're like golden. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Winnie? All right.
She's the one on the farm that least excited to play.
That's just, that's just your...
That's just like my opinion.
Yeah. I'm surprised because she just draws cards. Like, I know she loses them from them, but I think she...
Yeah, but I've already played this deck.
With Finn?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any other recommendations for cards or builds that'd be good for Winifred HABBAMOCK, why don't you just put them down in the comments below. We'll see you next week for another one of these starter deck guides. Thank you so much. Have a good one, and as always, GG's.